If there's one thing that has been documented over the last 2 years by wrestling fans and content creators, it is the never-ending decline of AEW. While some of it is put down to simply just making fun of the company, which I have done myself, it all starts with valid criticisms that are not listened to, which then transform into simply just hate. But for AEW fans, they see every criticism as bad faith, and that isn't the case whatsoever. So AEW fans, here is 10 reasons why AEW is failing. Number 10, the championships. Championships in professional wrestling are actually supposed to mean something. They're supposed to show that a wrestler has actually made his way to the top or the top of the mid-card, depending which championship you are holding. But in AEW, there are too many championships for them to actually mean anything. Let's go down the list of championships that AEW currently has. The AEW World Championship, which means nothing. The AEW International Championship. The AEW Continental Crown. The AEW Tag Team Championships. The AEW and Ring of Honor Unified Trios Championships. The AEW Women's Championship. The AEW TNT Championship. The AEW TBS Championship. And the constant Ring of Honor and New Japan Championships that make their way onto AEW television. All of these championships just make every championship irrelevant. And before long, Tony Khan's going to come out with another championship at some point to put on one of his new toys. Number 9, the storylines and lack of. Now, while AEW does actually do some storylines, they're just not very good. They're inconsistent, don't make much sense, and really don't tell me that I should buy this next upcoming pay-per-view, which is what storylines, especially in AEW, are designed to do. Let's take the most recent AEW vs Elite storyline, which heavily featured FTR. While the Young Bucks were running roughshod on AEW Dynamite, Dax Harwood was busy fighting the British Bulldog's nephew on AEW Collision. Why? Don't know. Bryan Danielson, who was injured in storyline by Will Ospreay, did not come back to challenge Will Ospreay or confront Will Ospreay. He came back to join the Elite vs AEW storyline. The same thing happened with Darby Allin, who was taken out by Jay White. He came back, did not have anything to do with Jay White, and just joined this team for no reason. While yes, AEW do have some storylines, they're not very good, and they don't make any sense. Number 8, Triple H. AEW fans would define this man as the devil himself, Satan. That's what they think of Triple H, and that is because Triple H exposed Tony Khan as a bad booker. While Vince McMahon had the reins of WWE, Tony Khan was praised for better angles, better stories, and better matches, which at that time was correct. Vince McMahon was terrible at his job at that point. He was old, he had dementia, he forgot what stories happened every week, he kept repeating the same things, firing people, and it was hard to get invested in anything WWE until Vince McMahon was caught out for doing some naughty things, and Triple H took over the creative and showed Tony Khan how it was actually done with better storylines, better angles, and better actual wrestling matches. To this day, Tony Khan has not been able to pick up what Triple H has been doing. He just keeps doing the same thing and hopes that people will watch, which is not happening. Number 7, the commentary. The current commentary team is Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone on AEW Dynamite. Only one of those people actually does a good job, and that is Taz. But he is brought down by the two people next to him in the booth. Excalibur sounds like he's trying to have a rap battle with Eminem, and Tony Schiavone just likes to sit there and say how great everything is, which it is not. The commentary team needs a reset, but that will not happen, especially with the Young Bucks around. Number 6, meaningless random matches. If there's one thing AEW has been consistent with since they started, it's putting on random matches for the sake of putting on random matches. With no story, no build, let's just have an exhibition and hope for the best and see if it gets 5 stars from Uncle Dave. People don't want this. It's good to have an exhibition match with lower card wrestlers who are trying to get over and make their way up the card. But when you have your world champion who has just won his championship and praised for being the first African American world champion in that company, what do? Do you put him in a promo segment? Do you give him a celebration? Even a backstage promo? No, he gets a random match with Kyle Fletcher. Who? Kyle Fletcher. And there's another meaningless random match that we will get into later in the list. Number 5, the fans of AEW. Have you ever made a valid criticism about AEW and you get told that you're not a real wrestling fan? Oh my god, you don't like wrestling. Just say that you hate wrestling. When in reality, your criticism is valid and you don't hate wrestling. Just like me, you love wrestling, but you hate the stuff that AEW puts out. For example, remember that meaningless random match I talked about just a minute ago that we would get into? Well, now it's time to get into it. Kenny Omega versus El Hijo del Vikingo was announced, I believe, in 2022, and it was dubbed a dream match. And people like me said, who? Because we didn't know who this person was. How is it a dream match when none of us know who this person is? And we got told, Google it. You're not a real fan. You just like WWE. And it is fans of AEW that is turning people away from AEW constantly. Number 4, the EVPs. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Cody Rhodes were the executive vice presidents of AEW when the company first started. However, only one of them actually had a brain, which was Cody Rhodes, because he left the company. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega only cared about hiring their friends and having random indie-rific flippy matches with their friends with no story, no build. That doesn't make any sense. But the one thing that they did wrong the most was push away their top money-drawing star who could have changed the company for the better, but instead he got fired because of the things that they pushed him to do. CM Punk is gone, and so are the viewers, and that's thanks to the Young Bucks. Number 3, Uncle Dave Meltzer. If there's one person that's cultivated this cesspool of wrestling fans, it is Dave Meltzer. With his stupid newsletter and his stupid match ratings, Dave Meltzer has created an audience of very strange and sickening wrestling fans that just want to see people actually injure themselves instead of telling a story in a safer manner and a more exciting way. Dave Meltzer is the reason the Young Bucks even became a thing, the reason Kenny Omega became a thing, because people will still, to this day, randomly, blindly listen to Dave when he doesn't know what he's talking about anymore. Number 2, the wrestlers themselves. Anytime AEW gets some bad publicity, you tend to see people like Dax Harwood, Brian Cage, Saraya, and so many more make random posts where they say, AEW did this for me, I'm so thankful for AEW, I love AEW. And they continue to argue with fans that actually give valid criticisms, but they can't handle the valid criticisms because they are soft. They are as soft as the fans that they pander to. And number 1, Tony Khan, the big dog himself. If there's one person that could change the trajectory of AEW and could have done that in the past, it is the owner of the company, Tony Khan. However, he is one of the fans of this kind of bullshit. He is one of the people that listens to Dave Meltzer. He is one of those sickening, stupid, mindless fans. Tony Khan is stuck in the past. He's stuck in 2016 where Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks were actually cool and actually popular. He's stuck in that time frame because he doesn't know anything else, because he has listened too much to Dave Meltzer. He doesn't want to listen to actual fans who actually critique his product in a correct way. He puts every criticism down to bad faith. People say, oh, Tony can't book a wrestling show, but his heart's in the right place. No, it isn't. Tony Khan isn't a good person that you would think he is. A good person doesn't use his mum's illness as a way to fight back at the opposing company, and a good person doesn't put all criticism down to bad faith. Tony Khan will be the main reason AEW eventually dies. Yes, they're going to get their new TV deal. It's not going to be for the money they want, which means they're still going to be under financially, but eventually that money will stop. Money doesn't solve everything, and Tony Khan will learn that the hard way. And that was my 10 reasons why AEW is failing, will continue to fail, and will never ever succeed. If you like the video, please like and subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell for more videos like this. I'm going to try and do a list at least once a week, and I say try because I don't want to promise anything due to real life. I am a one-man team, and I will continue to try and put out as much content as possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.